Welcome to Policy on Demand's Week in Review. I'm Andrew Pryor.
What would you tell clients are your takeaways from this week?
The OECD this week released much anticipated further administrative guidance under Pillar 2 and an updated version of the Globee information return. The OECD also released an updated public consultation document on Amount B of Pillar 1. Among other things, the Pillar 2 guidance contains a temporary safe harbor that effectively delays the undertaxed profits rule, UTPR, for 1 year from 2025 to 2026 for home countries with a corporate tax rate of 20% or more. The guidance also provides favorable treatment for transferable tax credits by treating them as qualified refundable tax credits. Both are seen as attempts by the OECD to address U.S. concerns regarding implementation and clean energy tax credits under the Inflation Reduction Act. At a House Ways and Means Committee hearing this week on the OECD Global Tax Agreement, Democrats pointed to the OECD guidance as proof that Treasury needs to be at the negotiating table representing U.S. interests. But the OECD guidance did not sway Republicans who continue to threaten retaliatory countermeasures if countries implement the UTPR. In fact, Ways and Means Republicans led by Ron Estes of Kansas and with Chairman Jason Smith of Missouri as a co-sponsor, introduced a second bill to impose a reciprocal tax on foreign entities based in countries that impose the UTPR. In particular, the bill would tighten the base erosion and anti-abuse tax, BEAT, for those foreign entities by increasing the BEAT tax rate and eliminating BEAT exceptions. While the Ways and Means Democrats expressed support for the OECD Global Tax Agreement and Treasury participation in the ongoing negotiations, some Democrats joined their Republican colleagues in raising concerns about the treatment of the research tax credit under Pillar 2 and urged Treasury to work to protect additional U.S. tax incentives.
Which question related to policy did you get asked the most, and how did you respond?
The question I got asked the most this week continues to be around congressional efforts to restore the Section 174 R&D expensing, the EBITDA-based business interest limitation under Section 163J, and 100% bonus depreciation. My response? Legislation addressing these TCJA business tax provisions remains a year-end exercise with no guarantee that it will happen despite broad bipartisan support. Congress currently is focused on other legislative priorities such as funding the federal government for the fiscal year that begins October 1. As in the past, Congress is expected to end up kicking the can down the road on government funding until December, and a year-end spending bill could become the legislative vehicle for a year-end tax package. Companies should not expect Congress to enact fixes to Section 174 and the other TCJA business tax provisions before the October 16th extended tax filing deadline. Companies also should be aware that a retroactive seamless extension could be called into question if Congress does not enact legislation by the end of 2023.
Where should companies focus their attention in the coming week?
Congress is preparing to depart at the end of next week for its traditional summer recess period. Both the House and Senate are not scheduled to return until after Labor Day, when the focus will be on advancing government funding bills ahead of the October 1st start of the federal government's fiscal year. Congress may not be in session for over a month, but the business community needs to stay engaged on the TCJA business tax provisions and the OECD Global Tax Agreement. In fact, the August recess can be an important opportunity for senior company executives to engage with lawmakers on tax policy issues while they are back home. In addition, it is important that business participate in the OECD public consultation on Amount B of Pillar 1, which is open until September 1st and would provide certainty in transfer pricing relating to routine marketing and distribution functions.